everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittney. This is the Brittney Reacts Show, and on this show we talk all things movies and entertainment news. I've been updating you guys about the strikes. Today is mostly going to be, well, not mostly, but we do have some strike news, a bit of entertainment news, and then I thought maybe about halfway we'd do an Ask Me Anything for those who might have missed it on the Friday stream because I was at a different time, and also just because there's not a lot of news to go over. So how are you guys doing today? Phoenix Hunter, hi Ejamin, hi The Modern Designer, hi Grace Likes to Draw, hi Munchie the Gnome, hi Moonberry, hi Nana, hi Taylor, hi Rachel, hi Stephanie, hi Boredom, hi Black Star, hi Drip the Cat, hi Fandom, hi Noah, hi everyone who's here. Alright, so let's just get straight into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was actually Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is finally finished in the box office and it's about to go to digital platforms, meaning you can buy it on VOD, but it only crossed 120 million at the worldwide box office. And the Blue Beetle budget, I believe, was more than that, so it's definitely not breaking even, it's definitely flopped. This is not what they would have hoped for it, I'm sure. I'm sure they would have hoped this number was just domestically, not worldwide. So yeah, kind of a big oof for Blue Beetle, even though I liked the movie. If you guys saw my live review of it, I told you, I actually really liked this film. I kind of wish it had done better, but you could, I mean, I'm not surprised. DC movies have been doing very poorly. Pretty much they've been hit and miss, mostly miss. So this isn't entirely surprising, but kind of sucks because I like the movie. Yeah, Nana says, welp, it's DC, though. Yeah, I know, we should just, I guess, expect this from DC films, right? Oh, Natanya has been a member now for 2 months. Thank you, Natanya, for, sticking with me and supporting me for this long. Love being a mod for this channel. You do a great job at being a mod, Natanya, truly. Great job, really, I love that you guys even want to be mods. It's so kind. Thank you, Natanya. Oh, thank you, Shavy. Grace Likes to Draw says, what were the Flash's final numbers in the box office? It was a little around this. Let me see. Hold on. Let me find the Flash box office. Okay. So, the Flash grossed 108 million. Dang, that's it in the US and grossed 268 million worldwide. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty embarrassing. So although that also shows you just how bad Blue Beetle did, that it still made less than The Flash. So this is awful. But yeah, thank you for asking the question. Do you guys think DC can turn things around anytime soon? Do you think, real talk, do you think James Gunn has any chance in hell at actually turning things around with the new Superman movie? Because I think even if he makes a really good film, there's a chance it'll probably still flop. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Emily, but I'm glad you could come and enjoy the chat. Paul says Ezra Miller's fired. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they've already fired him. If they don't, then they should. Oh, thank you, Brian. Noah says, forgot to see it. Well, now you can see it online, so you don't even have to see it later. Oh, Little Joe's Animations, thank you for becoming a member. Really appreciate it. We are going to get to the members section later, so stick around for that. But thank you for becoming a member. Oh, Gotcha says this is a surprise. Really? I don't think anyone's really that surprised by this. Alright. Oh yeah, Jordan Davis says DC needs a hard reboot. Definitely agree. And that's why I don't understand what James Gunn is doing with these plans of his. It sounds like he's trying to do a soft reboot where he says yes to some characters coming back, but no to others. And I feel like for the casual person, or even someone who's actually, paying attention to this stuff, it'll get really confusing about what's supposed to be the new DC, what's the old DC, and I think general audiences are not going to care, because they're not going to do the homework. So, I think this is a bad idea. Honestly, I think DC is probably gonna okay, this is what I think is gonna happen. James Gunn is gonna release his Superman film, and it's one of two things that's gonna happen. Either it's gonna do very, very well and save the DC universe, which is a big big ask, but it could happen, potentially. Or it'll be a big flop and DC will have to take a break for like 10 years before they try to do anything again. And I think the second is a lot more likely. The Modern Designer says, only looking forward to the Batman and Joker too. I feel like they'll just continue with, if the Superman movie does flop, I feel like they'll just continue with the Batman and Joker films. Like, those seem to be the only DC characters people care about anyway. Yeah, no, Haunted Mansion wasn't great. Alright, moving on to the next thing. To entertainment news. Now, I saw this on Twitter, so take it with a grain of salt, but I believe this person. He says that in 2024, Disney's going to have their biannual D23 convention, which is like a huge fan convention where Disney announces a lot of big news about what they're going to do with their franchises. Like, they'll announce new properties, new movies, new stuff, basically. And it's a huge, huge deal. It's basically Disney's version of Comic-Con. And so next year, apparently they want to host it in a 20,000 capacity stadium. So they want to make it like literally an event, like you're going to a concert, but you're going to be surrounded by 20,000 screaming fans. I think this is an interesting concept, an interesting idea. I think Disney's definitely trying to drum up fan interest in a lot of their properties that are kind of failing at the moment. So this is one way to do it. Would you guys want to go to something like this? Would you go to a 20,000 convention where you're going to be standing around a bunch of screaming Marvel and Star Wars and Disney fans? That could be kind of fun if you're into that. Cheatsy the Pimp says that's a little too ambitious. Yeah. I mean, he said for comparison, Hall H at Comic-Con seats only 6,500. So this would be even bigger than that. Evil Connor says they're trying too hard. Yeah. What if they can't fill up the 20,000? That'll be really embarrassing. Aaron says that seems a little culty, but go off, Disney. Is this cultish? I mean, imagine standing there with 20,000 Disney adults screaming over corporate announcements. Because that's what it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely not an event for everyone. For some people, this sounds like fun, but I bet for others, this sounds like an actual nightmare. Boredom says, oh wow, that's a lot of people. My antisocial self says no, yeah. It definitely would be intense. Just the echo alone would make it awkward, yeah. Definitely very loud. I mean, what would they even announce next year? Like, Marvel could announce maybe who the Fantastic Four cast is. Like, that could be an announcement. They could announce maybe something about Deadpool 3. That could be big. Star Wars, who the heck knows? I mean, they announce stuff and then cancel it the next day, so maybe we'll hear about something else that'll never see the light of day. I don't know. But it could be fun. I'll definitely report on it when it happens. Gotcha. Is that actually true? I feel like that's a myth. John Joe Jane Doe says this is a corporation's dream come true. It really is. It really is. Miss Megan says, I'd be falling asleep until someone by me screams in excitement. Yeah, it is kind of cultish. Kazaki says D23 is just an advertisement event. It really is. It's Disney's way of advertising their products and trying to gain hype for it. Like I said, it's Disney's version of Comic-Con. But it's mainly aimed at Disney adults. Not even kids. It's like mainly aimed at Disney adults. So imagine 20,000 screaming Disney adults in one room. Who would go to this? Should we do a poll? Let's do a poll. Alright, who is interested in going to D23 next year? Okay. Who's going to D23? I'm gonna say, yeah, totally going. And then, no, never. Then, third option for maybe. Alright, adding the poll. NHLCBJ says, do you think the creator will do good or have some advantage being an original IP? I really hope the creator does well. I'm cheering for it because I think it looks really good. I can't wait to see it. So we'll see. I don't know. Oh, hi, Derek. Boredom says, I can imagine them just announcing a movie and hearing all the screeching and screaming. I mean, that's what they're doing it for. Jordan Davis says, I'll watch it from home. I hope they live stream it. That'll be fun. If they live stream it, maybe then I can stream it here on the channel. Yeah, watch it on YouTube. Would you go, though, if you could afford it or if you lived near it? I guess that's what I'm asking. The Modern Designer says, I would go on a t-shirt that says, stop the remakes. Yeah. Okay, so 72% of you are like, no, never, you would never do this. 21% are saying, maybe, possibly. And then only 10% are like, heck yeah. So that's okay. Those 10%, it's okay to be a Disney adult. I'd probably still consider myself one too. So more power to you. You know what? If I still lived in Anaheim, I would consider going to this. So I have no shame from me. All right, ending the poll. Mockin says maybe if they streamed it in theaters. Oh, I don't know about that. Who would go see this as, like, a theatrical event? I think that'd be too much. Okay, Sammy Bear says if my cast member mom got free tickets, I would go. I know. Only 9% said yes. That's a big oof. Big oof. Okay. Alright, moving on to the next topic. So, Bad Bunny was supposed to play a superhero, but it's looking like he will no longer be that. He was going to play El Muerto, who was a Spanish wrestler, or Mexican wrestler, I believe. But it's looking like he's no longer going to do that. Honestly, I think this is a good idea. I don't think any of these Sony Spider-Man movies where they just focus on the villains are doing that well outside of Venom. Like, Morbius became a literal meme. It flopped twice. Kraven the Hunter looks like it's also going to flop. I just think this probably would have not done very well and probably would have ruined, Bad Bunny's very good reputation. So I think this is very smart for him. And I saw him in Bullet Train. He was in a movie last year called Bullet Train, which I really liked. And he was good at that, so I could see him having, like, a good acting career. But I think this would not have been a good start to his acting career. Evil Connor thinks he's hot. Okay. Aaron says no, it'd be like the T-Swift concert movie. No! Could you imagine Disney having a concert movie like Taylor Swift, but it's all like Disney music? They could do that. There is a certain audience that would show up for it, but how many? But was anyone looking forward to this Bad Bunny superhero movie? I think, again, it was going to be a Spider-Man-less Spider-Man movie. And I think that's really dumb. So I'm glad that he is moving on to something better. Rachel says, the way people are simping over the Kraven promo, I don't know if that one is gonna flop. Are they simping over the movie, or are they simping over Aaron Taylor Johnson? Because there's a certain, section on Twitter that just goes really hot and heavy for that guy. He's not my taste, but there are people who just think he's really, really cute. Why poll for this one? What would the poll be? Rachel says... Oh, wait, I already read that one. Paul says, I don't think El Muerto was not going to be a good movie unless it's better than Nacho Libre. I mean, Nacho Libre literally would be the only other, comparison it would have. So, the bar was on the floor. Okay, Verstamend says, I just want to see original movies. Yeah, maybe he'll sign up for an original movie. I mean, he already did one with Bullet Train, so maybe that's the path he wants to go see. I only have eyes for Harry Styles. He's not the only one. Alright, moving on. I know, there's a lot of members here today. So thank you everyone who's a member, and thank you everyone for coming to my live stream. Alright, moving on. So, The people behind Stranger Things are teasing something. Sorry, you could tell this is a slow news day. But it's looking like they're making the Scoops ice cream thing from the show. If you watch Stranger Things, you're well aware of the ice cream parlor from the show. It's looking like they're teasing this could become a real ice cream place that maybe you could go to, which I think is a smart idea. I could totally see this being like an actual ice cream parlor you would see in a real mall. It would be great promotion for Stranger Things. And I think Stranger Things is popular enough that they could pull this off because most people would know what this is. What do you guys think about this? Would anyone go to a Scoops ice cream for real? Oh, Evil Connor? Oh my god, Evil Connor. This show thinks it's so cool. You have some of the funniest comments, Evil Connor. You're hilarious. But yeah, maybe. I mean, to be fair, Stranger Things is like a big deal. The last season, it was like everywhere. You couldn't escape it. I mean, they made a freaking song from the 80s go viral and #1 again. Like, that's crazy. So I think it makes sense that if any show is going to get something like this, then, you know, Stranger Things will. I hope they have good flavors too. I hope that the cast, or not the cast members, I hope the employees who work there actually have to wear the uniform. If they're gonna do it, they have to go all the way. Oh, Cheetah Viper says, I'll bring my mom. She loves that show. Yeah. It might just be a temporary pop-up thing. That's true. I don't really know. This is all they've teased so far. But I'm just speculating what this could be. Oh, hi, Paula. Hi, hi, Paula. Nicholas says, I don't even watch the show and I still wouldn't escape it. Yeah, I know. Everyone was talking about it. That summer, what was it? Summer? It was just last summer, right? Yeah, the show was everywhere. You could not escape it. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this up. So moving on to this topic. Now, the director of Miss Marvel, Miss Marvel, says that a season 2 of the show is only going to happen, well, they're basically waiting to see what happens with the Marvels before they decide to do with the season 2. I think if I can just, interpret what she's saying here, she's basically saying we're not sure if we're going to do a season 2 of Miss Marvel because we're waiting to see how well the Marvels does. And I think that is kind of a shame because, especially if you're a Miss Marvel fan, because I don't think the Marvels is going to do very well. And if that's what they're waiting to judge or decide a season 2 based off of, I think we very much might not get a season 2 of this show. So this is kind of bad for them, but at the same time, no one really watched the first season. I think what they're hoping is that people like this character so much in the Marvels that people will go back and watch the first season maybe, or maybe more people will be interested in another season. Maybe that's what they're hoping. But I think that's a lot of maybes and a lot of wishful thinking. What do you guys think? Paul says Marvels might bomb. Yeah, I think so. Oh, Jordan Davis is booing this. Interesting. Oh, the Modern Designer says in London we have a prequel to Stranger Things live show coming to West End. Oh, I didn't know Stranger Things was coming to West End. Interesting. Oh, you guys think it'll flop? Yeah. I think I've asked you guys about this in a poll already. Kisaki says, feel bad for the young actress, but the show seems boring. She could have kept her original stretchy arm powers. Here's what I thought about the show. I liked, the first 2 episodes. And then after that, if you've seen the show, which maybe most of you probably haven't, but the first 2 episodes of this show actually takes place in New York with Kamala and all of her friends in school. And I thought the show was going to be almost like Spider-Man, where it's a coming-of-age film where the lead happens to be a superhero. That's what I thought it was going to be. And then, at a certain point in the show, they leave New York, and I thought the quality just fell off a cliff. And I thought the rest of the show just got progressively worse with each episode. So I liked the beginning of Miss Marvel, but I thought most of it ended up being pretty bad. But I like her. I like the actress Iman Vellani. She seems really nice, which is why I guess I'm still rooting for this, even though I didn't care for the first season. But yeah, if they're depending on season 2 on if the Marvels does well, it's looking like we're probably not getting a season 2. You don't feel embarrassed for not knowing who she is. I mean, not a lot of people watched Miss Marvel, so don't be upset. Oh, I'm not Alex says I loved the stretchy powers. They made her visually unique. I thought her powers were okay. Honestly, that was not what endeared me to her. I liked her personality. All the extra stuff just got real weird. Like, did you guys, for anyone who did see the show, the villains were so bad. Like, truly some of the worst villains in the entire MCU. Natanya feels bad for her, yeah. Paul says the only reason Marvels will fail is because they created a new villain like Shazam. A character no one asked for. I think that the Marvels is going to fail for a number of reasons. Firstly, you have a part of the fan base that is actively rooting against this movie, so they might not show up for it just out of spite, so that's going to hurt it. You also have the fact that you have to know, like, multiple Disney Plus shows to even know who multiple of the characters are. So any casual fan is going to look at this and go, who are these people, and probably not show up. So that's going to hurt it. And then the third thing is that general hype and interest in the MCU is down. So there's just no, like, general interest in it just because it's a Marvel film anymore. Marvel's going to have to find another way to market their movies other than, oh, look, it's another Marvel movie, because that alone is not going to get people to come to theaters anymore. And I don't think the Marvels has any other selling point other than this is a Marvel movie. So I think it's gonna hurt for that reason. Yeah, Miss Marvel will probably be the best part of the movie. Everything I've heard about this movie, like from leaks and stuff, suggests she'll probably be the best part. Hi Brianna. I'm glad you can make it. Anise Alchemist says, I liked Miss Marvel a lot. It's just like the comics. I liked her family and friends. Yeah, her family and friends were great. When it was just focusing on that, it was cool. When it got to the villains and the clandestine and all of that crap, I thought the quality just went off a deep end, like dramatic drop in quality. I thought the ending of the show was as bad as I thought the beginning of the show was good. That's how I would describe it. Brian Lowe says, LOL, like Rick and Morty, people just like it because it's Marvel. Well, I think there's certainly a lot of Marvel fans that will just see whatever is Marvel just because it's Marvel, but I think the audience is shrinking. Quiet Rabbit says, LMAO, oh no, in my opinion, Miss Marvel would have worked so much better as a movie instead of a whole show season. It just went on for too long and screwed itself. The story was jogging in place with the time travel stuff. Yeah, I have to agree. I think a lot of these Marvel shows could have been better as a movie. I think them trying to stretch them out into shows and put in a bunch of filler didn't just, like, mess up the individual shows, but adding so much extra lore just for the sake of it, I think also unraveled the entire MCU. Like, I remember there was a point when I was watching this show where I was like, okay, now they're introducing some new dimension, and there's something about how Kamala's powers are coming from this other dimension, but didn't we just have all these other shows and movies? Didn't we just have WandaVision talking about different dimensions? Did we just have, like, Doctor Strange talk about different dimensions? Like, it just seems like I didn't understand, like, what the physics of this world what the physics of the MCU even is anymore. Like, what's real, what isn't, what's in this universe, what isn't, I don't know. It was honestly, I think it was while I was watching this show where it just kind of clicked for me that none of it made any sense anymore. Where I was just like, where are we going with this? What is this clandestine stuff? Like, are we ever going to see these people again? Probably not. LP Harris says, we lost interest in the show halfway through. Yeah, I would say halfway through is when the show really started to take a nosedive, so I'm not surprised. So going to the member question, because I did ask you guys about this. Again, if you want to be a member, please press the join button at the bottom of the video. It does support the channel, plus you get to participate in members-only posts on the community page. So I asked my members, what do you guys think about this? Would you still want to see a Marvel Season 2? Do you think the Marvels will be a hit? What do you think? And I got a lot of really good comments, so thank you everyone for posting as usual. Me Motalier says, I liked Miss Marvel. All the Pakistani backstory was very interesting. I'll be sad if she doesn't get a second season, but it is understandable if it's not a popular character. And that's the thing, it makes no sense for them to carry on if she's not a popular character, so I understand why they would cancel it. Totally understandable. Nicholas Wilson says, my girlfriend and me enjoyed Miss Marvel. It was a different character who wasn't sure of herself, which gave it stakes other superhero series don't have. Whilst a lot of representation in modern media can't feel disingenuous, we never get the feeling that Miss Marvel was pandering. We both like to see a season 2. I'm glad that you really liked the show, and I'm sorry that I think that the chances of us getting a season 2 are very, very slim. But I hope for your sake maybe we will. But I'm glad you liked it. I'm Kai says, I can't really say I'd be interested in the Marvels if it wasn't for Monica, thanks to WandaVision. So any solo/additional content with other Marvels in it don't really pique my interest. But hey, y'all like it, I love it. I mean, I still want She-Hulk Season 2, unlike many others. You like She-Hulk too? Man, She-Hulk was not good. I'm glad that you liked it. But She-Hulk was another Marvel show where I was like, I could see the wheels falling off here. Yeah, I thought She-Hulk was really bad, but I'm glad that you like it. Thank you for being a member, Kai. T-Hop says, very upset, although I think the show dumbed down the comic, and I'm more of a fan of the 2014 comics. It was very watchable. I would say watchable is a good word. I honestly don't think that just watchable is, like, the highest praise you can give a show. I feel like for me, watchable is like, yeah, it was decent. Like, I could watch it. Not like I was super in love with it or thought it was super great. Like, it was just watchable. So I would say it's watchable, but I don't think that's, like, a super positive thing. Mickey says, I'm really in the middle of this. It was an interesting show, and I might want to see another season, but I don't know, because I do think the Marvels is gonna flop, so yeah. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about a potential season, but it's definitely not happening. In my opinion, I think the chances of a season 2 are, like, 5%. I think that's generous. Natanya, thank you for being here, says, no, I wouldn't care if Miss Marvel got cancelled. I do feel bad for the actress. Yeah, I feel bad mostly for Iman Vellani, because I think you could tell she was a huge Marvel fan before she got into this, and it sucks that now she's a part of a show that wasn't really well liked or watched by many, and now, on top of that, she's about to be in a movie that's probably gonna flop, so it just sucks that she was a super fan that's definitely gonna get screwed over by the Marvel system, so I feel bad for her. Cheetah Viper says, I never watched the show. I'm not interested in the character. I'd be upset if Loki Season 2 got cancelled, considering it's coming out in a few weeks. I'm very curious to see how Loki Season 2 does. I'm so curious. Like, the first season of Loki was actually pretty successful. A lot of people watched it. A lot of people talked about it. It was trending all the time on social media. Are people actually going to watch Season 2? I feel like so many people have just lost interest in Marvel entirely since then. I could totally see the audience just shrinking in half. But we'll see. We'll see. Amphibian Lover says, I am not a fan of Marvel, so I wouldn't care. Fair enough. Ry Noel says, well, the Marvels is definitely going to flop, so yeah, that's where I'm at. And then we got two people who are like, who? Fair enough. So not everyone cares, so there we go. Thank you again, if you are a member, thank you for supporting a channel. If you want to be a member, again, just press the join button at the bottom of the screen. Alright. Angel says she now has experience in a huge franchise. She'll be fine. That's true. Being in Marvel now will hopefully allow her to get more work. Maybe. I don't know, because a lot of other Marvel actors are having a hard time getting, like, good work outside of Marvel, so I hope this doesn't hurt her. I just hope that she can, like, flourish and do better things than Marvel, you know? Vlad Farid says, Iman Vellani in this case is like Halle Bailey, good but in a bad situation. Yeah, that's how I feel. I guess that's why it's so crazy, because I feel like so protective over someone. A, I don't know, and B, I thought her show was only like half good. But I think it's interesting, and she was just put in a really tough position. Zion Parker says, I was considering watching it because of the McDonald's promotions, lol. They got me on the sweet and sour sauce. You talking about Loki? Yeah, the Loki McDonald's promotions have been everywhere. They're really doubling down on that. McDonald's must be heavily featured in that show. I'm very curious about Loki. I will watch it and I will review it here on the live stream, so if anyone is curious about Loki or wants to watch it, I will be reviewing it so we can watch it or talk about it together. Alright, moving on. Oh, Jordan didn't get his comment read? Jordan. Do I need to refresh? Sorry. Oh, Jordan, here we go. Did the second worst Disney Plus Marvel show really get greenlit for a second season? I really don't care about this show. If they had focused her in season 1 in New Jersey, and then the clandestine in season 2, maybe I would have liked the show. Yeah, the show probably would have been a lot better had they done that. I think the clandestine really just ruined that entire show. I wanted them to just stay in New York. As soon as they left New York, the show went off the cliff. But thank you. Now I think I got to everyone's comment now. Alright, so moving on to strike news. So you guys did hear me talk about yesterday that Drew Barrymore is in some hot water because she decided to bring her talk show back on air, despite the fact that both the writers and the actors are on strike. And I told you guys that the actors are actually, well, the SAG, so the Actors Guild, SAG, is okay with her being on the show because she's technically not acting. But the Writers Guild are very upset with her because, Drew... Well, she's not using writers because she can't, but the writers are obviously upset about that because her former writers are actually picketing outside her building currently. And she's not allowing guests who want to be in the audience to wear any sort of pin or shirt that shows that they support the WGA, which is also super sketchy. A lot of people think that she can't really do the show without technically doing some sort of writing, so she's a scab. Well, she's not the only one, the only talk show that's coming back on air despite the strikes going on. So we have Sherry. I don't even know what this one is, but it's coming back. We got The Talk, and we got the Jennifer Hudson show. So it seems like we're getting a lot of these daytime talk shows to come back. I guess they could sort of skirt around the rules a bit. Because they're technically not acting, they're not going to promote any of the studio movies or shows, and none of them are using writers, so I guess they're all just going to be more of a general, talk news kind of show. So, again, as I said yesterday, I am very conflicted on this. I do think, on one hand, I can understand why the writers are upset, because if these shows are able to carry on and be successful without the writers, then what does that say about the writers? I mean, this is, on one hand, kind of hugely disrespectful to the writers who worked on these shows. But on the other hand, the rest of the crew, I'm sure, loves to have their job back and is able to work so they can provide for their families. And if they aren't promoting any struck content, and they aren't doing any writing, then technically they aren't breaking any rules. So, if The View is able to just go on, then I understand why they're probably thinking, well, if The View can do it, why can't I? Because they're kind of doing the same thing. So it's a gray area, in my opinion. I think it's a gray area. I think if they're able to do this and be successful and not get barred from any union, we're just going to start seeing a lot of reality shows come back. So, this could definitely be the start of another chain reaction of bringing back reality TV, just like back in 2008 when the last writer's strike happened. The Modern Designer says the rest of the crew won't be covered by the unions. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like these daytime talk shows are... Yeah, they're trying to become like non-union shows, again, like a news show. So it's interesting because if these shows are able to stay successful without these writers, then they might stay non-union even when the strikes are over. So it's touchy. It's very, very touchy. Rhea Lynn Says, I honestly think people are picking the wrong battles during these strikes. Freaking out over this little things will lead for more people to not support the unions. So, I guess I asked you guys yesterday how you feel about Drew Barrymore. Let's do another poll to see how you guys feel about all these other talk shows in general coming back. How do you guys feel about this? Do you think it's scabbing or do you support their decision? Very, very, be honest, because honestly, I'm a little bit on the fence myself. So, is this scabbing? I'm gonna say yes, hella scummy. No, they have the right to do it. And then just unsure. Alright. Adding the poll. Rihanna Does Art says, that's freaking disgusting. To me, these shows should pay their writers. Yeah, honestly, if I was a writer on the Drew Barrymore show, I would be so upset with her. Because they're literally picketing outside her front door, like, all day since this has happened. And the other crew members, the other people who work on the show are having to literally, like, break the picket line, literally, just to get to their job. And I'm sure it's awkward for everyone. When these strikes are over, if they do have any writers back, I'm sure it's going to be hella awkward for them. So yeah, it's definitely a very weird, I think, gray situation. Little Joe's Animations, thank you so much for the super chat. We don't know. She directly said no to the pins. All shows doing this is sketchy, but Drew shouldn't be targeted. She broke no rules. Leave her alone. I'm just reporting on what the situation is. I don't think that Drew is, like, evil for doing this. Because I think she has legitimate reasons to think that she's in the right. I mean, as I said, firstly, you already have other daytime talk shows that were able to keep going, like The View. Drew Barrymore's show is not that different from The View, especially if she doesn't talk about any struck content. She just talks about, like, pop culture and, like, non-Hollywood related news, which she has apparently already started to do. So I can understand her thinking, like, if I only had, apparently she only had 3 writers prior to the strike. If I only had 3 writers, and the only thing holding up my entire show from going, like, from being able to play and go on air are these 3 writers, where I have an entire rest of my crew that would love their job back because this strike is not ending anytime soon, I'm sure she was probably thinking the needs of the many over the needs of the few. Especially if she's not going to break any of the rules. And so far, it doesn't look like she technically has. So I can understand her thinking. And not just hers, but all the people who are bringing back their daytime shows. Going to the poll. So 47% of you are kind of like me, where you think it's a gray situation. I think we'll monitor it. We'll see, again, what they're doing on these shows. If it starts to seem like a little too scripted, then we'll know there's some writing going on. If she starts talking about movies and stuff that she's not supposed to talk about, I mean, that'll be an issue. But if she's just talking about, like, pop culture stuff and, like, nothing Hollywood related entirely, and she's literally just having conversations with people, again, like The View, I don't know. I understand her thinking. 34% of you, now 33, now 34 again, are saying yes, so you do think this is scabbing. That is a significant portion. 19% of you are saying flat out no, she's in the right. So almost 20% of you think that she's right. 34% are thinking heck no, she's definitely a scab. So that's definitely significant. And then 47% are unsure. So it definitely seems like people are all over the place in the situation. It doesn't seem like everyone is wholly against her or wholly for her. People seem to be all over the board with this one. Very, very interesting, though. Evil Connor says, I think it would be cool if she were outspoken about supporting the strikes on the show, but they kicked out people with the support WGA pins from the audience. Yeah, again, as the last person mentioned, we don't know if she was the exact person that said kick out the people with the pins, but she very much could have been. Even if she wasn't the person that made that direct order, it was still someone on her team that did. So I think it definitely, again, if I was a writer who was on that show, I would definitely be pissed. Because the writers are the ones that are the most getting underhanded. But at the same time, I don't. If it was just the three writers are the only people that are keeping that entire production from being able to air, I don't know. LVN says, "What is scabbing?" Scabbing is a person that, if you're part of a union and the union is on strike, that they try to break the strike. They're called a scab. So people think that she's breaking union rules because everyone's in a strike and they're not supposed to be working right now. So people are calling Drew Barrymore and others a scab. Yeah, scabbing could ruin her career. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of writers who will never forget this, who will never work with her. I'm very curious to see what kind of celebrity guests she can get on the show, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of celebrities who would be too nervous to even be on there. So it's going to be very interesting, even when the strikes are over, how this will affect her image publicly. Will people forgive her for this, or will people just move on? I'm very curious. LP Harris says, I could see them doing that because they're worried about disruptions during the filming from those supporting the strikes. I could, honestly, maybe I'm trying to give her too much of the benefit of the doubt, but I could honestly see her thinking, these strikes are never ending. It's probably, I genuinely believe these strikes are ending until early next year. And a lot of people, there was just an article, I talked about this last week, I believe it was in Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, where they talked about how there are already so many people in the industry who are losing their job, well, not their jobs, their houses, they're going homeless because they can't work. So I could see her being in a position where she maybe knows that a lot of people on her crew can't support themselves for that long, and so she's thinking again, am I gonna keep these people, poor and hungry for 3 people? Again, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I don't envy her for having to make it, but I do respect her for standing by it, despite knowing that she would get backlash. Laura B says, can actors go in her show if they don't talk about their projects? Is that allowed? I think if actors went on the show to talk about something else that's not struck content, I think they could do that. Say if, I don't know, someone like Gwyneth Paltrow, I don't know why she's the person that came to my head, but she has a separate company, Goop. If Gwyneth Paltrow, who everyone knows is also an actress, wanted to come on her show but talk about Goop instead, that they could do that. Even though both are technically SAG members, neither would be breaking any rules because they're not talking about anything that's, struck right now. I can see that happening. MB1 says she could start a fund for her crew. She could have done that. That's true. Do you guys think she should have done that instead? Have a fund for her crew? I mean, I'm sure she's very, very rich. What is her net worth, by the way? Should I look up her net worth? You know what? No, that's none of our business. But I'm sure she's very much wealthy enough that she could have done it herself. The Modern Designer says, I think it's more difficult because Drew herself is a well-paid actor. Yeah, true. I mean, she probably could have afforded to pay them. That's true. Alright. Moving on to the next topic. So, some of you did mention this yesterday. I did want to bring this up. How is it 7:46 already? I just knew that this was not gonna, I was not gonna have enough to talk about to last an hour, but I think we definitely will. This is shocking to me. So maybe we'll move the Ask Me Anything to tomorrow. Because I'm surprised that we had enough to talk about, that we're already at almost an hour, so good for us, but I do want us to have a good amount, of time for an Ask Me Anything, so I think I'm going to move that till tomorrow. But going back to this, so Steven Spielberg and his wife have donated $1.5 million in support of the striking workers and actors. This is very nice. They're one of, well, two of many people who have donated to charities to try to support people during these strikes. Again, I don't think Steven Spielberg would be donating $1.5 million to these funds if he thought these strikes were going to end anytime soon. I think everyone knows these strikes are going to be going on for several, many months. Another thing that I want to mention I saw someone mention that I'm like, oh, that could be part of why the studios are dragging this on for so long. So I've told you guys that next year in July, IATSE, one of the other guilds in Hollywood that represents like all the behind the scenes crew pretty much, they have the opportunity to renegotiate their contracts next year as well, and there's very much a possibility that they could too go on strike. Now, we don't really... I saw someone that's saying that the reason the studios are trying to draw these strikes out for as long as they are is because they want people to be super broke and not in a position to strike again next year come July when IATSE tries to renegotiate their contracts. So IATSE is in a bad position, so they have to just take whatever the studios give them because no one can afford to go on strike again. I could see that being something the studios are doing. That's a very shady, underhanded tactic and kind of crummy of them. But I can see it. And I think that sucks because I really hope that IATSE does strike because IATSE is trying to get the visual effects workers and animators to become part of their guild. And everyone knows they're all getting screwed over. So they need to strike, to be honest with you, because they're some of the most abused workers in the industry. So I kind of hope they get what they need and deserve, but I'm kind of nervous that by the time the whole renegotiation happens next July, everyone will be, unfortunately, too broke and tired of striking to strike again. So we'll see. I'm very curious to see what happens. Mr. Yas Queen says Steven Spielberg is the type of guy to go to the barber and ask for the director's cut. Some of these dad jokes, you guys are so funny. Some of these jokes, I love them. Nicholas says Spielberg's a virtuoso, so many terrific movies to his name. Yeah, he's a good director. The strikes need to end already. I know, but I don't think the strikes are ending anytime soon. I really don't think they're ending until January at the very earliest. That's the earliest I can see these strikes ending. And I'm still not convinced they'll be done by then. I think we could see these strikes go on as long as February or even March. I think it could get that bad. So we'll see. The Modern Designer says James Corden openly voted to reduce wages for his own writing staff back in 2008. I know! James Corden is so crummy. Everything I hear about this guy is, like, the worst. I honestly think he quit his show right before the strike started just so he wouldn't be responsible for his crew. I genuinely feel like that was part of the reason. Alright. Moving on. Oh, Aaron Lopez says, a YouTuber I watch has a father in the VFX industry, and the way he explains what they go through is heartbreaking. Exactly. That's why they need to strike. So I kind of hope IATSE does get the opportunity to, because it needs to happen. Especially with AI coming in. AI will affect the visual effects workers before it affects most other people. Because even now, you could use, like, AI art to, manipulate something. So it's already starting. They're definitely going to need AI protections. So that's why I'm hoping that they get what they deserve. Alright, moving on. So, because of all of these strikes, Warner Brothers is suspending a lot of deals that they previously had with creators, specifically writers. And one of the writers that they're suspending their deals with is Mindy Kaling, who they had a deal with to write a number of projects for them. And one of the projects, obviously, was Velma. So, right now, it's just suspended. They haven't actually canceled these deals yet. But suspended, in my mind, means canceled. Because they're saying they're waiting until the strikes are over and then everyone can go back to doing what they're doing. But to me, it sounds like they're just using this as an excuse or a cover, because they're definitely not going back to these. They're using the strike as an excuse to drop all of these people. It's not just Mindy Kaling, it's also J.J. Abrams. We got another article today saying that NBC Universal wants to drop The Rock, wants to drop Lorne Michaels, who is behind SNL. So they're using the strike as an excuse to end a lot of previous engagements. So it's looking like we're going to see a lot of cancellations when the strikes are over, so be prepared for that. You'll see a wave of headlines about a number of stuff getting canceled once the strikes are over. And it looks like Velma is one of them. Alright, the Modern Designer, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Can we have another episode of Brittney Rants? What would you guys want me to rant about? You know what? I was thinking of seeing the new Indiana Jones movie. Should I watch that and rant to it? I don't know if I'll hate it as much as I hated The Flash, but it was another movie I didn't want to see because I didn't think it looked that great, so I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Government name says, basically anyone who costs a lot of money. Yeah, and I'm sure these people had very expensive writing deals. Moonberry Studios says, I'm sad Velma's not getting a second season. The only reason I'm even upset about Velma not getting a season 2 is I was looking forward to reacting to it. That's the only reason I wanted to react to Velma season 2. But yeah, if it's not happening, which honestly I saw coming, I'm not even that shocked. I was shocked when I found out they were doing a season 2, because I thought it was just going to be a one season thing. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. Okay, you do want the rant about the music industry. Oh, that could be fun. I don't know. What do you want me to rant about? Cool Woman says, actually hate watched Velma and immediately stopped watching after the first episode. Velma's like a unique kind of awful, where it's like, even when you're trying to hate watch it, you're still like at awe of like how bad it is. Wait, Black Star says, I want them to cancel The Simpsons and Family Guy. Why? Rant about holes. Is holes becoming like a running joke on this channel? Why does it get brought up every stream? Jack says, I pray for the families of those strikes. Me too. Okay, Nicholas says, what's an older film that you hate, Brittney? You can rant about that. I mean, there's a lot of movies I really hate. Should I explain why I hate Jurassic World Dominion so much? I don't know. Velma was so funny. Brian, you liked Velma? Why? Okay, Joe feels me. Why do you guys want Family Guy to be over? I like Family Guy. There was actually a period in my life where I binge watched, like, every Family Guy episode up until that point. And I don't know why I did that. It was just like a random Family Guy phase I went through. Yes, Brianna, we talked about the wine river yesterday. That was part of WTF news. No WTF news today, I'm sorry. Black Star says, because they have been going on far too long, Brittney. Oh, they already have too many seasons. In fact, The Simpsons is going to get a season 35. They need to end that show immediately. I don't think Disney's ever ending The Simpsons, especially as they just bought it. They probably don't want to be the ones to, like, have bought The Simpsons and then immediately ended it after, like, a couple of seasons. So, I think because of that reason alone, and the fact that The Simpsons actually does really well on Disney+, The Simpsons is going to be around for, like, another 10 years. Guarantee it. And then with AI, Simpsons will literally never die, because you can just make your own Simpsons episode. Cool Woman says, I heard they were both going to be canceled, but they could just be lying. We'll see. Anyway, I had to point out that there's a number of cancellations coming out because of the writer's strike. And it includes Velma Season 2, unfortunately, so I might not get to react to it, unfortunately. Just had to update you guys on that. But anyway, that was the last bit of news for the day. I'll answer just a few more questions, like maybe 3 questions, and then that'll be the end of the live stream. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. And maybe we'll get to an Ask Me Anything if there's not enough news, because I thought I was going to have to do it today, but somehow, some way, we found a way to talk for an hour. So that's great. There was only like maybe 6 actual topics today, but we did it. All right, I'll do 3 questions. Ria Rue says AI has enough material to recreate their voices. Oh yeah, between any real animated show that's been going on a long time, Family Guy, The Simpsons, SpongeBob, there'll never be a day where you can't have a new episode of those shows, because one day AI will be able to make it. There's already that, if you guys remember, I talked about this in a live stream a couple of weeks ago, there's already a simulator for South Park, where you could just type in a prompt for what you want for South Park, and the AI makes a whole episode for you. So that already exists with South Park. You'll get that for every show eventually. The Modern Designer, thank you so much for the super chat again. I love to watch you vent about old movies you hate. Okay. Maybe I should have like 1 stream a week where I vent about movies I hate. Would you want that? Maybe. Yes? Laura B says, Brittney, are you a Pride and Prejudice fan? Yes! I like the movie, though. I haven't seen the old show. But the movie with Keira Knightley is one of my all-time favorite movies. Love it. Alright, I'll do 2 more questions and that'll be it. Ruru says, what book do you think would make a good movie right now? Oh, what book? You know what, do you guys know the author Isaac Arthur? He's a sci-fi novelist who has a lot of really interesting stories. Like, he wrote I, Robot, and they made it into the movie, but the movie was nothing like the book. He has a lot of books that I think could be made into movies. In fact, he has a short story called The Final Question that I think could be expanded into a really interesting either book or series. So I would do that. Alright, that was the last question. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow on the show at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. Okay, so yes, you do want the weekly rants. Interesting. So what should I rant about? I'll think about it. Okay, so you guys want the rants. I'll do that. Alright, anyway, so I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. And we'll meet again then. Bye. What? To end. End. End? Am I still on? The Unfortunately, it's not letting me end the stream.